It was supposed to be a $1.8 billion fund designed to compensate the president's closest allies. A massive financial payout for those who claimed they were victims of a weaponized justice system. But today, in a stunning and rare turnabout, the Trump administration has officially pulled the plug. "We are not moving forward with the fund, period." Those were the blunt words of Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche during a high-stakes House hearing. No payouts. No $1.8 billion. And most importantly, no more clear path for January 6th defendants to receive government checks. But here is the catch: while the money is gone, a secret deal regarding the president's own taxes is still very much alive. Today, we're breaking down the collapse of the Anti-Weaponization Fund, the fierce political mutiny that forced the White House to retreat, and the legal fine print that the administration is still refusing to put in writing. For 2 weeks, the Anti-Weaponization Fund was the most controversial balance sheet in Washington. Formally titled the Anti-Weaponization Fund, it was a $1.776 billion pot of gold established through a settlement between Donald Trump and the Internal Revenue Service. The official logic from the Justice Department was that this money was an appropriate measure to correct the alleged weaponization of federal law enforcement under the previous administration. The White House argued that since Trump and his allies faced multiple investigations and prosecutions, a fund was needed to rebalance the scales of justice. However, the fund's lifespan was incredibly short. From the moment it was announced, it was hit by a tidal wave of opposition that the administration clearly didn't anticipate. It wasn't just the Democrats who were outraged. In a rare display of intra-party friction, key Republicans in the Senate began to revolt. The furor became so intense that it threatened to derail the president's entire legislative agenda. Specifically, Senate Republicans refused to pass a massive, high-priority immigration enforcement package until the administration made major changes to the payout plan. For a White House that prides itself on projecting strength, this was an embarrassing legislative bottleneck. The breaking point came down to one specific group of people, the January 6th defendants. While the administration claimed that anyone, regardless of political affiliation, could apply for compensation if they felt unfairly persecuted, Todd Blanche repeatedly refused to publicly rule out payouts for people convicted of violent crimes during the Capitol riot. This was a bridge too far for many lawmakers. The idea of taxpayer money being funneled to those who participated in the events of January 6th created a political firestorm that even the president's staunchest defenders couldn't ignore. During Tuesday's hearing before a House Appropriations Subcommittee, the tension was palpable. New York Democrat Grace Meng pressed Blanche on the future of the fund, asking point-blank if the department was abandoning it, ever. Blanche's answer was a single, definitive word: correct. This marks a massive about-face. Just a week ago, senior Justice Department officials were insisting that they would not change the details of the fund. Blanche himself had previously testified that the fund was the best way to change the culture of weaponization within the DOJ. So, what changed? It appears the pressure of a stalled budget and a looming court date was too much. A federal judge in Virginia had already stepped in, temporarily blocking the fund's formation and scheduling a hearing for mid-June. The administration was facing a war on two fronts: a legal battle they were likely to lose in court, and a political battle they were already losing in the Senate. But here is where the story takes a darker turn. While the $1.8 billion fund has been scrapped, the other half of the settlement remains fully intact. This is the secret tax deal. As part of the original agreement to resolve Trump's lawsuit over the leak of his tax returns, the IRS agreed to drop any and all pending probes and audits of the president, his family, and his businesses regarding whether they paid their fair share of taxes. When Representative Meng pressed Blanche on whether this part of the deal was also being rescinded, the acting attorney general didn't budge. He confirmed that nothing has changed regarding the tax audit protections. He characterized it as a typical order to resolve ongoing disputes, but critics are calling it a brazen act of flagrant corruption. Representative Rosa DeLauro of Connecticut didn't mince words, calling the entire arrangement a corrupt payout scheme, and labeling the tax audit freeze shameful. Even more concerning to transparency advocates is Blanche's refusal to put this retreat in writing. When asked if he would issue a formal memo rescinding the fund, Blanche looked at the committee with a furrowed brow and stated, "I'm not committing to putting anything in writing." He argued that his verbal testimony should be enough. But as Representative Meng pointed out, Blanche was not under oath during this hearing. Without a formal, written memo, there is nothing legally stopping the administration from quietly reviving the fund once the political heat dies down. Before we look at what this means for the future of the DOJ, I want to hear your thoughts. This is a massive story about accountability and the use of taxpayer money. Do you believe this fund was a legitimate attempt to compensate victims of political targeting, or was it a slush fund for political allies? And what do you make of the IRS deal remaining in place while the public fund is killed? Scroll down and leave a comment. I'm reading as many as I can to see where our community stands on this. If you think the fund should have stayed, type restore. If you're glad it's gone, type scrap. The $1.8 billion may be gone, but the battle for the soul of the Justice Department is just beginning. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next deep dive.